If you are here, it is probably because postural yoga, meditation as taught these days, and breathing techniques, those practices have not sufficiently contributed to stability of your mind. If that's true, if not, you're one of my friends who is watching because I asked you to watch, or my family that wants to encourage me, or someone who's really so bored that they have nothing else to watch. Whatever it is, I hope at the end of this video, you have something valuable to take away. What you're watching is content that describes Patanjali's Yoga Sutras that have been adapted towards objectives of achieving mental balance and stability, a little more than what we have now. It's not going to completely solve the problem. But as in anything else, patience, perseverance is required, and sustained practice of the techniques that will be described in the following episodes. It reminds me of a story told about Narada, who, as usual, wanders all around the heaven, going to so many places. And on his way, he found a man performing severe austerities. And as Narada was going, this man asked him, "Sir, where are you going?" Narada said, "I'm going to heaven. I'm going to meet Shiva." And the man asked him, "Okay, when you go there, will you please ask Shiva or Vishnu or whoever you're going to meet, how many more times should I be born on this earth till I achieve liberation?" Narada said, "Okay," and went on. He met another man who was similarly in deep meditation, and he asked him the same question. "Okay, you're going to meet the Lord. Please ask him how many more births I should take." And Narada came back. On his way, he met the first person that had asked him, and a person asked him, "Did you ask the Lord how many more births I should take?" And Narada said, "I asked him, and he said, you have to take 4 more births." And the man grew really anguished and frustrated and said, "I have been performing these asaris for so long. Why should it take 4 more births? I'm fed up. I'm going to stop this." Then Narada went ahead and he met the second man who asked the same question, and he told him, the second man asked him, "Sir, did the Lord tell you how many more births I should take?" And Narada replied, "He said you should take 1,000 births more." And the man jumped with joy and was so happy, and he said, "Only 1,000 breaths, that is going to pass in just twice, in moments." So that is abhyasa. So that should be that. So that was an interesting story. I met. Namaste, namaskaram, greetings. My name is Ramakrishnan. I am from Chennai, Tamil Nadu, India. Please do subscribe to this channel and like this video if you like it, and share it with friends, and press the bell notification to be notified of for future episodes. And also in the description, I have given a link to the playlist containing the previous episodes. Please do watch them. We will begin as usual by chanting the second sutra of the first book, Samadhipada, which gives both the objective and definition of yoga. Yoga is chittha, vritti, nirodha. Yoga is the restraint of the modification of the senses. In the previous episode, we discussed 9 obstacles to achieving restraint over the modifications of the mind. And I had we had discussed one technique. Patanjali has prescribed 5 or 6, and we had discussed one technique, and I realized later that probably I made a mistake, and that wouldn't have been sufficient enough because there are so many obstacles. So I changed my mind, and I said, no, there should be a combination of application of these techniques. So the first technique we discussed, which was to do with people interactions with humans. And the second technique described in Sutra 1.34 is, I've always been trying to avoid touching on this because it does, later when I explain this, we will know that there are contentious issues in this, which is the regulation of prana. Here, Patanjali is not talking about pranayama at all. In my opinion, this word prana has been used very loosely and very conveniently in considering the context or the forum or the audience that is being addressed with that particular word, prana. For those who are curious about prana now itself, you can refer to Chandukya Upanishad, which is it is considered probably the oldest Upanishad in Bharatavarshi scriptures, and it clearly describes prana. I recommend the study of verses 5.1.1 and 5.2, 5.1.15. Very small verses. You can hardly take 5 or 10 minutes to go through them. It's available on the internet. And also read verse 6.8.2, I think. Yeah, 6.8.2. The links to both these I have given in the description below. So let us get away. This 1.34 is prana, regulation of prana. 1.35, Patanjali says you elevate your senses, have highly elevated senses. There are several practices for these. Most of you must be knowing it is possible to increase our awareness of our senses, not make the senses more aware of the outside, but to make ourselves aware of the senses themselves. And Patanjali says that is also one method of removing the obstacles. It's a subject that has to be discussed on its own, and I will try to have a session devoted to this alone, that is heightening of the senses. 1.36 describes something called painless lucidity, and I have really not understood what it is really, but so I just leave it because, and I think it does involve certain high levels of practices that we cannot do right now. 1.37 is very interesting. Patanjali says desirelessness. It's a key word that is constantly used in the sutras, and desirelessness. That, of course, if you consider the Yoga Sutras as a total manual for achieving moksha, liberation, salvation, it is used in that context to be completely free from desire, even the desire to be unhappy or happy. Absolutely no desires at all. No question of good or bad. No desires, desireless. I used to think of a short example for this. Many of these sannyasis, they get carried in their palanquins and go about being carried by 4 or 5 people, or they go and stay with a king, or nowadays a businessman. I don't know if they. The point is that state should not make a difference whether you're living in a hut or you're living in a palace. And so that is the kind of desirelessness that we're talking about, that it should not make a difference. Anyway, for us it is not applicable. It is enough if in our context we don't have excess or obsessive desires, and especially for negative things. That is what we will try to do, and that is what we will try to address. And so we are normal human beings, and we have our own restrictions, we have our borders, but as a desirelessness, if we take it and as a practical application, I can only think of and I know most of you will know this as Maslow's hierarchy. We can work with both of these, starting with the bottom physiological desires and physiological needs in Maslow's hierarchy, and going up to the top, and we plug in desirelessness into that. I think that's that will give us a great solution to the removal of the obstacles. So we combine this with, as I said, Patanjali has foreseen a lot of stuff, and this was one of them that just came into my mind. Sutra 1.39 is one of the best that I've come across, and it gives us such an insight into Patanjali's mind when he compiled this or wrote it, or the people who wrote it. It is meditation, and it's Patanjali's. He's so great. The sutra is meditation according to one's predilections. He's very, very practical. He's not pedantic. He defines the problem statement. He gives you several solutions to them. And he says you choose one or two or any of them, most of them, all of them, and you practice it the way you think is correct. And I also think probably it is also possible that his disciples who came to him, we have discussed this before, had already reached a level of learning in which they knew all this already, so they could decide very well. Right now, we need to think, and maybe I will try to make a series specifically devoted to such topics, because each of them is vast, and here we are just trying to look at a small scope. Sutras 1.40 to 1.51 are completely unrelated to our limited objectives and scope. They are to do with samadhi, liberation, moksha, etc. So we are going to leave those alone. What do we? I'm just trying to recollect what I was thinking. Yes, okay. The last topic to be discussed on this subject, I'm just checking the time, is if you remember in the last episode what we discussed, that the kleshas, the afflictions, which is ignorance, egoism, what do you call it, aversion, attachment, and others, clinging to life. We will see why clinging to life, Patanjali says, is one of the afflictions. I want to cut this short. I want to maintain my 15-minute limit, and I always cross it. So in the episodes to come, maximum 1 or 2, we will discuss the 5 afflictions. We will discuss how to heighten the awareness, which is Sutra 1.35. With this, we would have completed our entire problem statement, and then after next 2 episodes or maximum 3, we will start addressing we will go into the solutions. I would want to summarize now, but I thought I would leave it to the next episode. So having said that, thank you for your patience. Namaste, namaskaram, greetings. Just again, for those who have not seen my previous playlists, please do watch them if you're interested in this subject. Thank you very much.